Good afternoon. I hadn't posted a video in a while. I'm a little bit busy with work and a few other things. But the purpose of this video is just talk about how to diffuse situations and deal with troublesome problems. Sometimes we find that you get into a situation where um, you get upset, feel some type of way, or you just don't like certain aspects of the situation. There's a couple of ways to diffuse it. Sometimes you can go the head-on approach. Go ahead and make the confrontation. Get it over with. In other cases, you can diffuse the situation by not participating in it. Um, for myself, sometimes I find it's easier to diffuse situations by just not engaging in it until I'm ready to speak in a rational manner. Because what happens is, A, you allow emotions to take the best of you, whereas your common sense sometimes doesn't factor into the either decision or the conversation. When you dislike something that a person done, or just a situation, you can be, and sometimes the situation is it's uncontrollable. There's nothing you can do about it, but it doesn't mean you have to be happy about that situation. And even if the situation is unavoidable, you know, there is some root cause, be it a planning issue, policy, whatever the issue may be, you have to still deal with it. Sometimes, we can engage what we quote unquote think is the cause, or we deem as the cause of it, without truly thinking about the entire uh, the situation and everything else. One of the unique situations that I've seen is that we, like I said, we diffuse the situation by going head on. So let's use this as an example. Let's say your girlfriend breaks up with you. She finds a new boyfriend. Okay, so A, you're unhappy about the situation. Or you find out, let me rephrase it, or you find out your girlfriend's cheating on you. There are a couple ways to diffuse the situation. You can run, confront her, confront the guy or girl, or, whatever the situation may be, per your preference. However, sometimes that doesn't work out. There's a lot of people in two alternative places because they jump in and, don't think the situation through, or, I'm gonna deal with this situation right now. There's a lot of people in prison, and there's a lot of people no longer with us. So that situation sometimes should be resolved in an entirely different manner. Sometimes it's as simple as, hey, look, I heard you got somebody else or whatever. Have a good life, whatever. Even though while at the same time you're eating up on the inside, it hurts. I mean, relationships are painful no matter how they start, how they end. I mean, there's gonna be some pain in it, because if there are feelings. Let me rephrase that. There is pain if there's feelings. If there's no feelings there, then it won't bother you at all. Um, and sometimes, we can be with people that, we may love, but then they don't love you back. I mean, it's part of life. We can't control how a person feels about us, but we can control how we react to how they feel about us. Um, in my second approach, you find out, same information. Your better half or person cheating on you. You take two steps back, think about it. What am I gonna do about this? I can go fight the guy, argue with the girl, potentially go to jail. You know, Secondarily, I kill him, he killed me, I beat him up, he beat me up, whatever, vice versa. And, then guess what? I've exerted unnecessary energy fighting or tussling over a situation that I can't change, and two, like I said, potentially the situation can escalate way beyond what we expected in the beginning. So, I always say, the confrontation side of it is sometimes the least likely, and that depends on the situation. Um, in business, sometimes we find that um, there's policy concerns. Some policy concerns you can talk about all day long. It ain't gonna change nothing. The company policy may be, you know, you can only wear jeans on Friday. Well, you can cry and say, hey, I want to wear jeans on Monday, because of whatever reason. You know, I got someone want to come off the weekend, show off my figure. I don't know, whatever the issue may be. Well, that policy may not change. You get enough people involved, maybe it'll change. But in general, a lot of times these type of policies don't change. Um, same as getting paid. You may say, well, man, I'm getting paid every 2 weeks. I want to get paid weekly. Or you may be getting paid weekly and say, man, I wish I could get paid every 2 weeks. Or I wish I can just get paid twice a month or monthly. Those situations are what we call policy, which means that you are in a situation where you have to deal with that policy because it was a policy that by which you accepted. It's a situation you accepted. And by accepting the situation, you have to deal with it the best way you can. Now, there is always an option in that situation. You can completely opt out, find a new job, but if you like the job, you like the people you work with, then that's kind of a tough call. I found that in some companies, making more or less money is dependent on the people I work around, or dependent on the people that are part of the management team. You may have a certain manager that you really like working with, that you've worked with for years and years, and you're like, well, man, I'll take a $20,000 pay cut a year, screw it, because I know, A, my stability is there, B, that person's got my back, C, we think alike, so if there's an issue, we're gonna correct it together without sometimes going I always say the crazy disciplinary method. Oh, well, so and so, the copier shut down, got stuck, or just anything can happen on the job. You can make a mistake, but that person will, that person will assist you through the mistake. Basically, not to cover it up, but to correct, train, coach, whatever they need to do to help you prevent the issue from happening again, without coming in with the horns drawn, ready to throw you under the bus. In a situation where, I always say, a family situation where, hey, they're gonna have a family reunion on the 15th. I want to be off, and it's a mandatory weekend to work. Therein lies again that choice. You put the day in, your boss says, oh, I can't give you the day off. You have a choice to show up, not show up, or try to work a compromise, shift schedule change, or whatever. Sometimes the best situation in that case is to, walk in, close the door, and say, hey, look, this is what I got. This is what's going on. If you're on a point system, you may just say, hey, look, boss, I know it's mandatory. I won't be here. But just not showing up is not good. So in that situation, you want to address it straightforward and be able to either receive a positive outcome where he says, okay, I'll let you off, or you just take off on your own, or C, you work 8 to 5, see if you can get off early, trade shifts with somebody, split shifts or whatever, so that you can get kind of the best of both worlds. I mean, Some employers are willing to work with you, some aren't. It's always best to ask. Uh, if you get into a sporadic, confrontation, meaning that you walk up to somebody on the street, you step on their new Jordan, they get to cursing at you or whatever. There are a couple ways you can handle it. Dave Chappelle used to say, when keeping it real goes wrong. Um, I've seen so many cases where people try to keep it real and it goes wrong, meaning that you get into an argument, you get into a fight, and you know it's a situation where, hey, I stepped on a guy's shoe. Sometimes it's easier to just apologize and move on if that person accepts the apology. If they don't, sometimes you still have to try your best to diffuse the situation, because at the end of the day, uh, it's not worth it. It's a pair of shoes, clothing, whatever the item may be, um, and it's not a permanent damage. It's something like a scuff mark. Okay, the guy can wipe it out. Keep it clean, keep it going. But people get upset about these things. These are things that I say are minor yet major issues, because from that person wearing the shoes standpoint, I paid $200 for these shoes, and he did it on purpose. Well, a lot of times people accidentally scuff it, just like you bump your toe on a table. You don't do it intentionally. You don't walk up to the table and just kick the crap out of it, but it sure feels like it when it hit, when you accidentally do it. But that's that's basically how you accept or um, choose to accept something that you deem as being a negative. Um, so somebody steps on my shoe, I expect them to just say excuse me, and I keep walking. I don't lose sleep over it. Reason being is, I don't put a whole lot of money in shoes. I don't have a shoe collection, and if I did have a shoe collection, I probably wouldn't be walking the street with them much at all anyway. But that's not my thing. It's kind of like everybody's got things that that we really like, our hobbies, our habits, our personas as human beings. So, some people got trucks, cars, whatever, and they're like, hey, don't touch my car, I want to keep it clean, keep it clean, you know. So it's I mean, I'm back in the old, and I always say olden days, but 50s, 60s, people would take their furniture and go wrap it in plastic. You go to grandma's house and she got this furniture with plastic on it, you know, and you sit on that plastic, and sometimes she's like, oh, or you got a, let me rephrase it, you got a one set that she really loves that's in plastic, and one that she really covets. Like growing up, we couldn't sit in the living room. It was like that was that family policy. You can't sit in there. Grandma, oh no, you can't go sit in there now. You walk right on past that. You don't sit in there. Um, we knew what the reaction was gonna be. It was gonna be instant confrontation with some good old spanking. Well, we didn't have spanking. They called them whoopings. We get some good old whipping action if you got caught sitting in that room. So, and that was no confrontation. That was just, it was it. You were gonna get confronted. It was gonna be a one-way conversation. So, but I guess in short, what I'm saying is, we have to choose how to deal with and diffuse situations. We can either confront them, we can step back to them, or we can just do nothing. And when I say do nothing, that means you just kind of not necessarily ignore it, because when I say step away from it, it means taking a break. When I say don't do anything, that means that you just act like it never even happened, and you keep it, not keep it. You take it, you throw it into a little hole somewhere. Sometimes that's the most dangerous, because you never get out how you feel, or you never get out what's going on. A lot of times, getting out what you have going on, especially in my case, it involves me taking a step back and collecting my thoughts. making sure that I don't say nothing that I don't may not truly mean. B, I like to get the personal feelings out of certain things. And C, I like to analyze what I'm gonna say or what I'm gonna do. It's kind of interesting. When I started this channel, I started it so that I could capture my activities, especially my walking, um, jogging, and running, but also to speak on things that just come to my mind. A lot of stuff stays in my mind very random. I have songs in my head all the time, which is kind of interesting, but I'm always thinking, always searching, always trying to grow. And in that growth, I found that, sometimes meeting people, it causes issues. Everybody who believes in any faith and they're passionate about it, you know, sometimes they get so passionate about that they're blind to any truth. I've always said that there's truth in almost every religion, and that truth comes from within here. It's what we perceive as truth. Actual truth is something that we can see, we can quantify, but our narratives of Bible, uh, be that the Torah, be that the Holy Bible, Quran, Bhagavad Gita, whatever your faith or choice of faith is, we have people who feel that I'm right, you're wrong. You either got to be what I am or part of me, or we're enemies. Here in the U.S., we get all the I always say the good old propaganda about how bad Islam is, how bad this is, how bad everything is. Well, the reality of the situation is that if you look hard enough in almost any uh, religious text, you're gonna find negatives and positive. I was reading the Bhagavad Gita, actually, which kind of made me bring this to mind. And Krishna had a army, or Krishna's army and Krishna. Basically, there were two sides in his army, and Krishna would give you whatever you ask for, even if it's good or bad, to do good or do evil. So one commander came and said, well, I need your help. Another one came, hey, I need your help. And so the one army said, I'll take the troops. I need the troops. And the other one said, okay, I'll take the guidance, because that's what Krishna offered. Them being, your guidance. So here's what happened. When they got, in battle, got ready to get in battle, the generals saw, fighters on both sides. And one of the generals said, take me down. Let me look at the rank and file. Let me look. And he goes down and he sees on both sides, family men, very honorable fighters. And then he said, I don't wish to fight these guys. Well, not to kind of go too deep into it, but that's where I said that was the thought process that he came to after taking time to reason, rather than go directly out in the battle, which would have ultimately resulted in the death of tens, hundreds, and thousands. This general says, I don't want to fight. I don't wish to fight you. Well, to stop the story at that point, it has a very good lesson that we can all learn from. What would have been the purpose of killing off these guys, causing more death and destruction in the world? For what end? What was there to gain? Land? I mean, you can negotiate these things, You can't negotiate once you've killed off half your community or half of your country or half of your state. There is no negotiation at that point. You end up with bitterness. So I'll leave with this. If you're in a situation, choose to diffuse it, no matter how you need to do so. If you feel that confronting head on is the best way at that time and you can get the result you want, then fine. But if not, if and it depends on your personality. I've seen where the direct approach sometimes causes a more negative aspect, and sometimes I've seen it become effective. In my case, I'm more effective when I've had time to think about it and analyze. That's just part of what I do. That's part of what I am. And I get put into a direct confrontational situation. Sometimes I cannot be the nicest person. So therefore, I try my best to make sure that when I speak to people, no matter what the situation, if it's negative, if I'm working and I have to fire somebody, I don't do it out of anger. I don't say, oh, this guy screwed up, he stuck his hand in a piece of equipment, moving equipment. No, my first thing is get him off the equipment. Now let's go to the office and talk. Even though we know that the result is going to be a termination, but there are two parts in that. If your policy says that employees terminated, and once terminated, they can come back to work or can reapply within a year. If you know this guy is going to have to be terminated, I don't have to confront him in a negative manner and scream and holler at him, because at the end of the day, this guy's going to lose his household or whatever he's got. He may be living check to check, meaning that he's going to be trying to worry about cutting the lights on, keeping the lights on, keeping his house paid for. So when you've got that situation and you've got that employee in, you don't need to beat him up and say, how stupid can you be? No, you sit him down and you say, man, the company policy is that if you stick your hand in a piece of moving equipment, it's automatic termination. Unfortunately, you did that. We're going to have to terminate you. However, our company policy says in a year you can feel free to reapply. Um, and please feel free to do so. Also, if you're interested, you can use me as a reference, because I know you work, you made a mistake though, but if you need me for a reference or anything, let me know. That's how you diffuse that type of situation, because if you're in an authoritative role, you can't go in and scream at the guy, treat him bad, because at the end of the day, you may end up, the role may be reversed. What happens if your boss treated you the same way? How would you feel? So I always think that I take the road of most positive outcome, which is talk about it, think about it, and discuss rationally. But hey, it's up for you to decide how you want to view the situation. But I thank you for your time, and please hit subscribe below. Have a great day.